Hello there guys, it's Bubulkaon here, back in another video, and today I'm going to do what if Deku can use Ocha Instinct Part 12. Hope you enjoy it. So let's start to cover what remained of the sport festival, and it went a bit differently. If you want to know what happened, click on I button right here. So TLDR, Deku beat everyone. I'm kidding. And I also realized that this become a trend in my videos, with Deku always winning the finals. But in this what if he didn't beat his opponent, Naofumi in this case, with sheer raw power. He beat him using his skills, or technique to be precise. Because Naofumi is actually stronger than Deku. Not by a large amount, but still enough to make a difference. But with Deku having way larger arsenal of techniques and better control over his quirk than Naofumi, he secured the victory. And a small thing that is Naofumi realized that Baku is a jerk. So that's that, and I think that's it for summary. Let's begin. So begin right after the sport festival ended. Deku and Naofumi are resting, then someone tried to hit Deku on his back of his head, then Deku easily catched it and it's revealed that it's Mirio. Mirio tell him, "You're always on guard, huh?" Deku turned to face him and tell him, "Not really, it's just a habit." Then Nijiri came close to his face and tell him that he did a great job, but she still can't believe that he copied 2 of her techniques in 2 weeks. Deku took a step back but still have a straight face and tell her he just learned really quick and he did have some awesome mentors. Then President Mike called for Deku, Naofumi, Todoroki and Bakugo. It's time for them to get their medals. While they are waiting, they hear, "I am here." Then All Might slammed the ground. Crowd cheer for him because it's All Might, and he start giving them medals. First, Bakugo and Todoroki, they share the 3rd place. Bakugo is beyond pissed. Not only he lost to Deku, but he lost to his friend. And he humiliated him because he was holding back and he gave him a lecture. So Bakugo did not take the medal kindly. He just yelled at All Might to give it to Icy Hot and be done with it. All Might tell him to calm down, but it's not working. So All Might just shrugged and gave the medal to Todoroki. And he congratulated him on finally using his flames. So one day he will be able to use both at the same time. Todoroki not. Then they go to 2nd place and it's Naofumi. He congratulated him also on a great job. Then he whispered into his ear while giving him the medal. "I'm very impressed to see how far you have gone in a short period of time. I was right to choose you." Naofumi tear up a bit and tell him, "Thank you sir, I will do my best." But while giving Deku the medal, he started telling Deku that he's impressed with him, but he doesn't know what to say to him. He always tries to improve himself and the people around him, so just good luck. Deku thanked him, but before he gave him the medal, Deku asked for one request. He whispered into his ear and All Might tell him that's it, it's easily done. All Might called for Deku's master. He was shocked at first, but he went on with it. Then All Might give him the medal and tell him, "It's your student, you should do the honors." He smiled, grabbed the medal, give it to Deku and congratulate him. Then Deku tell him, "No, thank you. For the last 9 years, you always have my back." Then he bows, "I'm really grateful to have you in my life, sir." His master can barely hold his tears and tell him, "Thanks, Izuku. You have showed me, not only me, sorry, but everyone at the dojo that if you have the will, there is a way." So Deku raises his head and the first time in a while, gives him a big cheesy smile. And for a brief moment, Deku's hair turned silver, then returned to normal. It was so fast that only person that saw it was All Might. Then he asked himself, what was that, or is he hallucinating? And with that, nothing more happened in this day, so let's say fast forward to next day. So we are in the class, then Aizawa come to the door and tell everybody to shut up. But to surprise of him, they already are. How, you ask? Deku. He was able to sense Aizawa's key and warn everybody. So Aizawa is in a good mood, sort of, because of it. Then he showed them the result of the sport festival, with Deku coming in 1st place, Naofumi 2nd and Todoroki 3rd. And yes, Bakugo is 4th. People didn't see him handcuffed to just get a medal. They only saw him get enraged at All Might, but that's it. But still, there is 3 people stronger than him and more, let's say, tamed than him. Then Aizawa tell them before they think which agency they should go to, they have to pick a hero name. Everybody start cheering, Aizawa tell them to shut up. So they did. So everyone come up with the same name, and for mine, I was thinking like Princess of Flames or something. And now for me, actually I didn't come up with his name yet. So if you guys have have one, leave it in comments down below. Then when it came to Deku, he doesn't have a hero name. Then Deku started thinking a name that suit him, Maybe I'm going to use the nickname they gave me in the dojo, with something extra. So Deku get up and show everybody his name. So at the time I'm recording this part, because I completely forgot to add it in the original video, I post a poll for you guys to choose which nickname Deku will use, the Silver Reaper or the Silver Flash. The Silver Flash is because he's fast with his silver aura, and the Silver Reaper is because he always steals every technique that he see. So guys, if you haven't, go to my community tab and vote which name you prefer. I'm going to use it in next part. And don't forget to give me a name for Nafumi. So after that, Aizawa leave the room and tell them that they have until the end of the day to choose which agency they want to train in or with. And with that, he leaves. So everyone start thinking which agency should they go to. Then All Might come through the door and call for Nafumi. They need to talk in private. Then Deku asks Ida which agency he will go to. Ida tell him that he will go to his brother agency. Deku think for a second and tell him, your brother is Ingenium, right? Ida nod. Deku started thinking he still have this problem with his stamina. So if he train with someone that is running all day long, maybe he have some tips for him to increase his stamina. Then Deku looked at his paper and sure enough, there is a proposition from that agency. Deku tell him that he will go with him. He explained the reason and Ida agree with him. So after giving their papers, the resumes, or whatever to Aizawa, let's say time skip to the next day. So everyone meet up at the train station, then they part ways. So when Deku and Ida arrive at the agency, they were greeted by Ingenium and he gave them a tour. And after going about what they will do in the next few days, Deku asked him if he have any tips to increase his stamina. He asked him what for, and Deku explained how his quirk work, or at the very least what he knew, because his quirk is still a big mystery to him. Ingenium replied, sure, but we need to know what are your limits. So they start testing Deku's speed, agility. Without a quirk, Ingenium was impressed. Deku can easily go toe-to-toe with pro athletes. Then he remembered that Deku have a black belt, and after a while he come out with the training that basically revolve around running and swimming. Deku thinking for his advice and they go on a small patrol. And nothing happened the first day. But in the second, doing a late patrol, they hear a massive explosion from afar. So they rush where the explosion is, and Deku decide to use at least 5% of his quirk. But the second he did, he started sensing two keys. They are awfully close to each other, and one of them is getting weaker. So Deku thought that someone is injured. He told Ingenium what he sensed, so he sent Ida and Deku to go check it out. Just be careful. They heard that the hero killer is in the city. Deku nod, he start floating and tell Ida to keep up. Ida nod, Deku start flying toward the direction where he sensed the two keys, and when he arrived before Ida, he saw a man holding a blade that we all know that is Stain, and he's going to stab what he seems is a hero. Deku, without thinking, he fly towards Stain and deliver a freeze blow to the face, sending him flying. But Stain was able to collect himself mid-flight and land back on his feet. Then Ida arrived, he saw the pro hero on the ground, surrounded by his blood, and he's more injured than the enemy because in the anime Ida was there to stop him temporarily. But in this continuity, Ida was not there. So the pro hero was left to his own devices. Ida tell Deku that they need to take him right now. He's losing a lot of blood. Deku tell Ida to call for help. Ida not, but he's thinking why don't they just run? But Deku is a step ahead of him. If they try to run, they will leave their backs open or vulnerable, so Sting can kill them easily. So Deku go on his stands, power up a bit more, around 10%, and stare at Stain. Stain smile and tell him, finally I found you. Deku ask him, you mean me? Stain nod and tell him, I have been looking for you for almost a year. So you are that kid who defeated the sludge villain and even impressed All Might. Stain take a step forward, then realize that Deku defenses are perfect. He doesn't see any weaknesses. He start laughing and he tell him that he's more impressive than he thought. He's well trained. Deku thanking for the compliment. Then Stain tell him to move aside. He doesn't want to kill someone that have the potential to be a hero. Deku was shocked. Isn't he the hero killer? But he was able to keep a straight face and ask Stain, isn't he the hero killer? Stain confirmed that he's the one that people call hero killer, although he don't like the nickname. If he prefer, he will go with fake heroes killer. Deku tell him, fake? What does he mean? Stain start explaining that he's only after fake heroes, the one that only use the hero title for their their own gains. Deku stays silent, then Ida tell him who does he think he is to judge people if they are worthy to be called heroes. Stain looked at Ida menacingly and tell him he knew the difference between a bad and a good hero. And for him, only All Might is deserving of that title. And this kid right here, pointing at Deku. Then Ida walked beside Deku and tells Stain, that's why we are here. We're here to stop you. Meanwhile, Deku is just silence. But that doesn't seem to bother Ida because Deku is always silent during class, so it's normal to him. Then Ida whispered to Deku that he called for his brother, he'd be here soon, and he sent him the coordinate. Deku nodded, but Stain wasting no time, he charged at them and started swinging his blade. Deku easily dodged it and threw a kick at him. Stain was able to dodge it, so he started bouncing from wall to wall, and he had instructed Pro Hero. He wanted to end him, but when he's above the Pro Hero, he got hit by Deku's air cannon, sending him out of the alley. Then he realized that this kid would be trouble, so he told him one more time to stay out of this, or he will kill him. Deku did not reply back, he only started walking slowly towards Stain. Stain starts sweating, he cannot get a read on this kid. So he threw caution out of the wind and started fighting Deku full force. Swinging his sword, tried to kick him, everything. But not a single hit hit Deku. Only once he got close, after throwing some knives at Deku, he swung his sword. Deku was able to dodge it, but he was able to cut his hero costume. But it didn't get close to his skin. Then some pro heroes show up, Stain started thinking of a way how he can escape. Then the pros saw something coming straight toward them. They screamed to Deku to get out of the way, but that thing is the Numu that can fly. It's way too fast for them to dodge. But right before it hit him, Deku do a backflip, dodging the Numu, and in the same motion, planting his feet on his back, slamming him against the ground. Everyone was shocked. How did he avoid that? And he was able to defeat the Numu with one hit? Then Ingenium, Endeavor, and Gran Torino show up with Naofumi. So why Naofumi is with Gran Torino? It's because when Gran Torino saw what happened in the sport festival, he realized that Naofumi is lacking a bit in how to use One for All. So he decided to train him a bit. That's why All Might take Naofumi aside the day before they went to their internship. And the reason Todoroki and Endeavor are there is the same as the anime. And the reason they are with Ingenium is because the three Nomus, the same Nomus that appear in the anime. And with extra firepower, aka Todoroki, and power from Naofumi, they were able to deal with them quickly. Although the flying one was a handful, that's why he was able to escape, and he met his end with the hands of Deku, or in this case, feet. So things are looking bad, I mean bad for Stain. He's surrounded by pro heroes. One of them is Endeavor. Then from nowhere a black portal open up and another Numu walk out of it. For some odd reason this Numu have chainsaws for hands. And the hammer? Then the building around them starts shaking and a bunch of metal pillars start attacking the heroes. Everyone was forced to dodge and they start thinking where they're coming from. But Deku already knew by sensing the key is coming from the pillars. Realized that Numu is controlling them. So he flies straight at him, deliver a furious hit that sent him flying, and the pillars start moving. Deku realized that he had to stay in contact with the ground to control them. But the Numu react quick enough. He put his hand on the ground and fired a bunch of pillars toward Deku. Deku fly up to avoid them, but the second he did, another portal opened up above him and a Numu without a face come out of it. He delivered a furious punch that sent Deku hurrying to the ground. After Deku was able to collect himself, he looked up and saw the Numu had struck at him, and that made him remember the night where he almost got cut in half. So his instinct, no pun intended, maybe a little, just focus on one thing, survival. So he immediately powered up to 100%. But the second his hand rise up to fire a blast, Deku knew he need to hold back. If he fired this big of a blast, he will surely destroy at the very least few blocks. So he tried to contain the blast. When he did, a massive pillar of light come through Deku's hand and cut the Numu in half. Then the pillar starts shrinking and shrinking, then it stopped. It's almost like it formed a sort of light coming through Deku's hand. But as soon as the sword took shape, it vanished. Then Deku started thinking, what was that? Can I use it again? But that thought process was cut short by the other Numu firing a bunch or launching a bunch of pillars toward them. But this time Endeavor and Todoroki reacted quick enough by making a wall of ice in front of Deku and melting the pillars before they even reach. And before the Numu can do anything else, he got hit with a compound attack from Naofumi and Gran Torino. And it was more than enough to knock him out. Side note, Naofumi is using 20% of One for All, so judging the damage that Deku can do with 20% in Season 4, yeah, that attack will be more than enough to break some bones, even if you are a power-up Numu. Plus, I think that Nomu was like a second generation Nomu or something like that, so he's nowhere near durable as the one as the USJ. After that, the tension started going down. Then they realized that Stain managed to escape during the commotion. Then they start hearing a cough. Then it hit him. They completely forgot about the injured hero. The ambulance and cops are on their way, but they think he will not make it. Deku can sense his ki going down fast. Then it hit him. He power up and put his hand on his chest and pray for this to work. Ida asks him what he's doing. Then the pyro starts slowly glowing. Then Deku asked the pros how long it will take the ambulance to arrive. They told him a minute. He replied, "Good. I think I will be able to hold out that long." They ask him what he's doing. He tells them that he will explain later. This technique takes a lot of concentration to maintain. And like they said, after a minute the paramedic arrive and they quickly care for the hero. And after a few minutes to make sure that he is stable, because they weren't sure that he will be able to survive the ride. But before they go, they thank Deku because whatever he did saved his life. So they go on their way. They make the report that Stain ran away. So no one got in trouble except Naofumi. He got a kick in the face from Gran Torino. Then Naofumi asked Deku what was that. Deku tell him, basically I transfer my ki into him. Everyone leave an eyebrow. Then Deku explained that he can sense ki and everyone here have ki inside of them. So he thought if he was able to transfer his ki into the pro hero, he will be able to keep him alive as long as he keep filling his body with ki. So just imagine a blood transfer, but this time with pure energy or human energy, where they did get the concept, but they know almost nothing about ki except Naofumi, Ida and Todoroki, because Deku did explain it a bit in class. But their conversation was cut short because they have to move. This place will be filled with the reporters soon, especially after Deku's light show. And with that, I'm going to stop it right here. What do you think of it, guys? What will Stain do? Will Deku be able to use his new technique? What will happen next? Leave your thoughts in comments down below, and if you like it, drop a like, and like always, peace.